possibly stand by you throughout this time? Because of love. How can I possibly stand beside you when you've done something like this? I guess it's because of love. And that doesn't mean that it's love for that person, therefore means you exclude love for somebody else. No, you can have sympathy on both sides of the whole equation. On all the situations I just mentioned, there is no nice side of that. Lives have been ruined, lives have been irreparably damaged and redirected. There's no positive to any of that. So there's that impulse. You can wash your hands of it and walk away from it and go, I don't want any part of this. Or you can recognize the truth, which is that you already are part of it. These are people in your life. If you walk away from it, you're doing something. If you're staying, you're doing something. You didn't choose to be in that situation directly, but you are. But here's the thing. By loving people, you put yourself in that, you kind of like signed up for that situation. You signed a contract with no guaranteed future. I'm going to be here for you. For what? It's blank. Leave it blank because you don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, you can think of it this way: that there's a love for not just people, which is true. If any of you ever doubt that there's such a thing as true love, I mean, a lot of people just look at your mom, look at your parents, man. There's a lot that gets gone through for little kids. Any of you guys babysit little kids? You ever babysit them for like a few hours and they're really cute? And then you babysit them for a few more hours and they're not so cute? But at least at the end you can kind of just like pick them up and hand them back to the parents. And then you go like, and then you lie to them and you say, oh yeah, anytime. Whenever you want, just let me know. But you'll gauge it out and not always be there. Yeah. Now imagine having to do that job 24/7 for 18 years. I don't know. I feel like that would have to take a lot of love, and it really tests the boundaries of that love. If any of you guys ever around toddlers, like toddlers will start crying over the weirdest stuff. You know, like I was telling a story that I babysat a toddler one time, and she wanted to eat cereal out of the sink. Because I said, "What do you want with the cereal?" And she's like, "It's the sink." So I'm like, "Okay." So I pour the cereal in the sink. Stupid me. I think it's funny. And then she wants to eat it out of the sink. And I said, "No, you can't eat it out of the sink." And she starts screaming and crying because she wants to eat cereal out of the sink. How do you deal with that? You let her eat out of the sink. Yeah, well, I guess if you don't love her, if you don't care about her, it's funny. I can come back here and tell you guys a story about how I let a toddler eat cereal out of the sink, which I definitely did not do. But imagine having to put up with that kind of silliness constantly, with just weird like outbursts that you have no idea of where they're going to come from. Yeah, so there's these outbursts that are coming out of absolutely nowhere all the time. And you have to kind of deal with it and still remain patient because you can't just kill them, right? Right, guys? Can't just kill toddlers? Okay, I see heads nodding, but I don't hear anybody agreeing with me. But just so YouTube saw it, I said do not kill toddlers. So if any of you guys do it, it's on you. But you can't endure that kind of thing unless you really love a kid. There's this auditory phenomenon. I can't remember what it's called. If you're interested, you can look it up. Are any of you just completely like hearing a baby cry is just like nails on a chalkboard to you? You're just like it bothers you. There's this chemical that gets released in women after you have birth that actually goes into your brain and makes you so that it doesn't quite affect you the same way after the birth. Specifically of your own child, it seems. So how much crying can you endure before you have a child? About this much. How much crying can you endure afterwards? A lot more. In fact, how much of everything in life can you endure after you have a baby? It's probably a heck of a lot. How much can you endure for your friends? If you love your friends. Like, is there a deal breaker that you have a friend and if something happens, then you're no longer friends with them? Like, that's the deal breaker? That's the line that you draw? If your friend murdered someone, do you stand by them even though they were a murderer? They did nothing wrong. Yeah. I have a few former students who murdered people, and I always show up in court whenever I find out about it, and it's tough because, of course, who also is in court? The victims' families. So you're standing there, and it's just like, that person's a piece of crap, they're this or that, and you're like, yeah, he's a piece of crap, but he's my piece of crap, he's my friend. Why? Because you need someone by your side. Everyone does at some point. You ever find yourself in a situation like that? It's 8 billion people in the world against you, and you feel really alone and isolated and alienated. And then you've got one person who stands up next to you, not because they agree with what you did, not because they think that what you did was good, but because everybody needs somebody. And if you're going to be the kind of person who if you develop yourself as the kind of person who's strong enough, then yeah, I guess you can do that. It isn't an endorsement of the person. So often we get confused with having someone's back as though we endorse their behavior. I was talking to a friend of mine last night. He used to go to the same gym. We go to different gyms now, but he came to my gym last night, and he was asking me, "Hey, have you talked to so and so?" Because this one friend of mine, we were really tight. We were like brothers, really, really tight. And I just found out that he deleted all of his social media and everything about a week ago. Well, why not? Actually, I'll come back and tell you the story about how that happened, because it does relate to it. I was telling my friend, "Oh no, he deleted all of his social media and everything." He says, "No, he didn't." And he opened it up, and he's like, "Yeah, I have him right here on Instagram." And I'm like, "That's weird. He's not on mine anymore." And I look at it, and he comes up in my messages, and then I'm like, we're not following each other anymore. And it doesn't have his number of friends, it doesn't have mutual friends, none of that on there. What's happened? He blocked me. I'm like, why do you block me? That doesn't make any sense. I click follow, and the tab doesn't go, the button doesn't go. And he's like, "Hey, you're blocked." Well, what the hell? A bunch of us were blocked. But for some reason, the other mutual friend of ours is not. And so I shrug my shoulders and say, there's probably a reason for it. He's going through some stuff right now. So I saw my friend last night, and he's like, "Hey, man, are you still blocked by so-and-so?" "Yeah." And he goes, "Dude, you gotta see what he posted." And he shows me this thing. How do I say this? What's he posting? How do I say this? You know Satan? Not a good guy, right? Okay. This friend of mine disagrees with us. Seems to like him a whole lot these days. Made like an altar. He's got an animal sacrifice on it in his living room. I'm like, oh, I know where that is. And he's got another one with a severed goat's head on his wall. I'm like, okay. I feel like this guy may have gone in a different direction than the rest of us. This guy's gone through some things in his life. This guy's father was a pastor. His father cheated on his mom, his wife, and left her and left the family, left the church and all that. So he has a very bitter taste in his mouth about that. So my friend had some challenging things in his life. He actually had his first baby almost a year ago, 9 months ago or so. Guess what he did? He did not kill the baby. No, not directly, but left his wife for somebody else, left the baby for someone he's known for 3 weeks, walked out on his family, did the exact same thing his dad did. So does it make sense why I might be blocked on that list? Why several of us might be blocked on that list? He doesn't want us to see what he's doing. He's embarrassed about what he's doing. And if I talked to him, I would tell him, you should be embarrassed about what you're doing. What you're doing is horrible and terrible. Would I have his back? Not on that stuff, but in life, certainly. I'm not going to turn my back on someone just because they do horrible stuff. I don't know what that limit would be. I'm sure there's a limit. I don't know exactly what that limit is. But that kind of tells you what those limits of love are. How far would you go for that friend? Some people will go farther for that than they would for their, certainly than they would ever go for themselves. Now, if you ever find yourself in a situation like that, you'll probably have a better idea. Maybe it won't be, abandoning his family and worshiping Satan. Maybe you won't encounter something exactly like that. I hope not. But there will be something where a friend of yours is going to do something. Maybe it won't be murder, like in my case, but maybe it will be. How far out there can that person go before you finally just say, I can't be next to you anymore. I can't be by your side anymore. It's hard to find that. I haven't found that line yet with people. There have been some where I've sat there and go, it's close to the line. It's close to the line. But maybe if I had a friend who was a serial killer, maybe that would do it. But I don't know. Find those limits, man. Find those lines. But that's the thing that teaches you how far you can go. It's love. It's not just romantic love. It's not there just to make you happy. Maybe in the direction if someone loves you, they'll be there for you. You love somebody else, you're going to be there for them. but it exists to show you how much you can endure. It teaches you something about yourself. It doesn't necessarily give you the why, but it gives you the how. How far will I go? How can I possibly stand by you throughout this time? Because of love. How can I possibly stand beside you when you've done something like this? I guess it's because of love. And that doesn't mean that it's love for that person, therefore means you exclude love for somebody else. No, you can have sympathy on both sides of the whole equation. On all the situations I just mentioned, there is no nice side of that. Lives have been ruined, lives have been irreparably damaged and redirected. There's no positive to any of that. So there's that impulse. You can wash your hands of it and walk away from it and go, I don't want any part of this. Or you can recognize the truth, which is that you already are part of it. These are people in your life. If you walk away from it, you're doing something. If you're staying, you're doing something. You didn't choose to be in that situation directly, but you are. But here's the thing. By loving people, you've put yourself in that, you kind of like signed up for that situation. You signed a contract with no guaranteed future. I'm going to be here for you. For what? It's blank. Leave it blank because you don't know what's going to happen. It's kind of like when you get married through what is it? Promise to love and cherish through sickness and health, richer, poor, doesn't matter. Life and death, you're there for them no matter what. You just sign a blank contract and you go, no matter what happens, I'm here. Part of the problem is we don't take that seriously enough. As I just told you about my friend, who didn't take that seriously enough. And so, it teaches you something about yourself. So, it sucks. At the very least, though, learn the lesson. Learn something about yourself. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticism, critiques?